that these classes are always recorded, and in your WhatsApp groups, dear students, you have both of you, right? Both groups have a link to a YouTube channel in which you can find out the recorded classes, okay? Just in case you wanted to record, to remember, excuse me, and to rewatch the classes at some point, right? When you miss one. So please have that in mind, okay? It's very important. Let me see. Yeah, fantastic. Well, let us start. We are live. And let me share my screen with you, okay? Awesome. Okay, there you are. Well, for those of you who are just joining us, I had said that we're going to be continuing tonight with the types of questions in the reading section, okay? So let us get into it. I think that is going to be a very important class, and let us go straight to our topic, okay? Second type of question. Remember that yesterday we saw the first one, so it could be adequate, of course, to continue with the second one. Okay, let's go. The second type of question, dear students, is called purpose question. Okay, reading purpose questions will test your ability to understand why a certain idea or argument has been used in the text. They will ask you to draw conclusions about the information that has been stated in the passage. You need to locate the paragraph and read briefly to get the purpose. Okay, well, fantastic. Let me please continue. So the purpose question, dear students, is basically a question that will ask you to identify the reason why an author has decided to include a particular sentence. Why? Because if you think about it, given that human beings are rational, right? We are rational beings as well. There is a reason behind every single sentence we write. For example, imagine that you have a couple and you want to break up with that couple, okay? It's just an example. And you write a letter to that person and you say, the problem has never been you, it's me. If you write that sentence, the problem has never been you, it's me. Why are you writing that sentence? There must be a reason. There is an effect you want to cause, right? And what that effect would be in this case? That the person you are breaking up with doesn't feel responsible, right, for this event, the breakup. But as I say, every single sentence we write when we are writing something has a reason behind it. And given that that is true in every single writing, it's also true for these reading passages. The author has included every single sentence because of a reason. He wanted to cause something. He wanted to provoke something. And what this question is going to ask for is going to be that, to identify the reason behind a sentence. Why did the author include a particular sentence in the reading passage, okay? Let us go with an example. The questions are always like this, okay? Pay attention to these questions, by the way. How can you identify them? They are always prefaced by the word why. They always start with the word why, because why is how you ask for purposes or reasons, right? So why, that's how can you identify it. Does the author mention the survival of snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles in paragraph 3? Now, the paragraph 3, we have it here on the right side of my screen. So please let us read. It says, if true though, why did cold-blooded animals such as snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles survive the freezing winters and torrid summers? These animals are at the mercy of the climate to maintain a livable body temperature. It's hard to understand why they would not be affected, whereas dinosaurs were left too crippled to cope, especially if, as some scientists believe, dinosaurs were warm-blooded. Critics also point out that the shallow seaways had retreated from and advanced on the continents numerous times during the Mesozoic. So why did the dinosaurs survive the climatic changes associated with the earlier fluctuations, but not with this one? Although initially appealing, the hypothesis of a simple climatic change related to sea levels is insufficient to explain all the data. Very good. So as you can see, the question is asking not for the meaning of the entire paragraph, no. It's asking you for the purpose. Why did the author mention a particular sentence? And what is that sentence? Snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles. As you can see, we have that sentence at the beginning of our reading passage. And it's actually part of a bigger sentence, right? If true though, why did cold-blooded animals such as snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles survived the freezing winters and the torrid summers? Okay, so let's see the possible answers. To argue that dinosaurs may have become extinct because they were not cold-blooded animals. Why did he include this? Why did the author decide to include this sentence? There must be a reason. We are going to look for that reason. To question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climatic change related to sea levels caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. 3, to present examples of animals that could maintain a livable body temperature more easily than dinosaurs. Or to support a hypothesis that these animals were not as sensitive to climate changes in the Cretaceous period as they are today. Well, some recommendations before we go to the question. So, to effectively respond to this type of question, dear students, you must ask yourself, how does the alluded portion, sentence in this case, right, affect the whole text? It might, for example, initiate, conclude, support, or discourage something. As I told you, there is an effect we always want to cause with sentences. Coming back to our previous illustration, if you write to your couple, you have never been the problem, it's me. The reason why you're writing that sentence, right, to break up with that person, is because you want to cause the effect of this person not feeling responsible, not feeling alluded because of this breakup. You are trying to say, hey, it's me, right? I am the problem. I have something that prevents me from being with you anymore, right? Something like that. But there is an effect you want to cause. So every single sentence provokes an effect in the writing. So as I say, in order to understand why did you include that sentence in that writing, or in this case, in this reading passage, in order to understand why the author included that sentence, you must think about what effect is this causing. For example, it could initiate a discussion, it could conclude a discussion, it could support something, right? Or it could discard something as well. But as I say, there is an effect, there is something that the sentence is causing in the text. Now, second thing you have to do in order to respond to this type of question, pay attention to the alluded portion's mode, okay? It could be interrogative. The sentence could be, for example, interrogative. The sentence could be exclamative. It could be subjunctive, or it could be indicative as well. You know what is, I guess that you know what is interrogative and exclamative. Those are the most common and noun modes of sentences. But subjunctive and indicative, you probably don't know. When a sentence is subjunctive, it expresses probability. And when a sentence is indicative, it expresses affirmation. For example, if I say, my computer is on, that is an indicative sentence. I repeat, my computer is on. That is an indicative sentence. Why is that an indicative sentence? Because I am affirming, hey, my computer is on. But if I say, my computer could be on or might be on, that is a subjunctive sentence. Why? Because I am expressing the possibility of my computer being on. Nonetheless, I'm not saying that that is the case. No, I'm just saying my computer might be on, right? So as I say, might be on. So pay attention to that mode. Is it interrogative? Is exclamative? Is subjunctive? Is indicative? All of that tells you something about the reason why the author wrote that sentence, right? Because if you are making a question, for example, if you write a question, why do you write a question? To cast doubt upon something, right? If you add exclamative symbols to your writing, to your sentence, why do you include them? In order to make a point, right? To make emphasis, hey, come back, right? With exclamative symbols. What is that? Making emphasis, right? Subjunctive, expressing hesitation. Indicative, expressing security, confidence, right? So as I said, think about all those aspects. Now, coming back to our illustration, our sentence, does it have some particular mode? What is the mode of our sentence? If you look at it, our sentence is a question. The sentence that the question is asking us for right now is snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles. If true though, why did cold-blooded animals such as snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles survive the freezing winters and torrid summers? As you can see, it's a question. Therefore, we can know right from that point that this can, or that the reason why the author included this is because he wanted to cast doubt upon something. That tells us a lot about the reason why the author included the sentence here, right? That tells us a lot. Now, what about the effect this is causing on the entire reading passage, our paragraph we have here? If you read it once again, or if you read with me before, then you understood that what this reading passage, or what this sentence, excuse me, is trying to do is to present information for a particular objection the author is trying to make. He says, hey, guys, okay, dinosaurs are very much powerful animals. They are warm-blooded. They are high strength. They are powerful, basically. If they, having all those qualities of supremacy and excellence, die because of these climatic changes, why didn't these super weak animals, and that's the reason why he mentions, right? He's giving information. Snakes, lizards, turtles, crocodiles. Why didn't these guys not get extinct? Right? If these animals who are powerful, warm-blooded, extensive, formidable animals died allegedly because of these climatic changes, why didn't these other animals that are super weaker and less formidable than dinosaurs didn't die? Why didn't they die? That is what the author is trying to cause, right? He's casting doubt upon a theory that says that climatic change caused the extinction of dinosaurs. And he's offering this sentence because he wants to give data, information to sustain that objection. As you can see, I am applying both my criteria here and saying, what is the effect he is causing on the entire paragraph? In this case, he is causing the paragraph to have some sort of sustain for the objection he's going to make. And as I say, just because the sentence is interrogative, is an interrogative sentence, we can know by definition that it's casting doubt upon something. It's okay, upon something. Sorry. So as I mentioned, dear students, it's a matter of asking ourselves those two questions. When we reflect upon those two questions, then we come up with the correct answer that I think evidently is to question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climatic change related to sea levels caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Okay, this is the correct answer. To question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climatic change related to sea levels caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Why is this the correct answer? For a simple reason, because as I say, we have responded both questions. What is the effect he is causing on the entire paragraph? He is offering information with a sentence. And secondly, he's casting doubt upon a theory used in the information he proposed through the sentence. Therefore, he is questioning the adequacy of the hypothesis that climatic change caused the extinction of the dinosaurs, right? So always ask yourself those two questions. What is this sentence provoking in the overall paragraph? And secondly, what is the mode? Is it exclamative? Is affirmative? Is subjunctive? What is it? Okay, that is how you respond to these questions. Any concern there, students? Any doubt you may have, please tell me. I can very much happily respond. Concerns, questions about this? Is it clear? Roy, Jorge, Sergio, Mariana, Cecilia, Nai, Abigail, Fabiana, Miguel, Adriana, questions about this type of question?
It's clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Jorge. What about the rest of you guys? Questions about this one?
Yes, it's clear.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, guys. Well, if there are no questions, then we can move on. Okay, very good. Third question. This is easier. Trust me, dear students. You're not going to get desperate, okay? Very, very easy, this one. This is called reference question. In reference questions, you will be asked to respond, what does a specific word refer to in its context? Maybe you read this and you say, hey, wait a minute. Wasn't this the first type of question, responding to a question about a specific word? And I say, yes, but there's a difference here. In the first type of question, the vocabulary question, we were always asked about concrete words, as for example, I don't know, adjectives like jealous, illustrious, flabbergasted, I don't know, or it could be pencil as well, right? Whatever. But this time, the words we're going to be asked about in this type of question are reference words. What are reference words? All this. Subject pronouns, as for example, it, they. Demonstrative pronouns, these, those, this, that. Possessive adjectives, its or their. Other reference words, as for example, the, former, the later, one, once, another, other, or others. Reference words, dear students, basically help us to connect our writing, right? They are words that don't have a particular meaning, but they can refer or allude a lot of different subjects or ideas at the same time in the same writing. For example, if I write in my letter to break up with somebody, again, I'm going to use that illustration. If I write she, that word she could mean my couple, right? The one that I'm breaking up with, or it could be actually the person that I'm changing her for. That is to say, my new couple, right? Because say you are not the problem, it's me, because I found another person that I love even more than you, whatever. So the word she could refer to my couple, the one that I'm breaking up with, or it could be the new couple I'm getting, right? So as I say, she, they, these, those, this, that, they refer to a lot of subjects and they are constantly changing. So you are going to be, in this case, asked about a reference word, and in the context in which that word is placed, every single time context is always important. In the context that this reference word they're going to ask you for, you need to find out what the word means in that context, okay? As we did in the vocabulary question. Let's go to the example. The word they in paragraph 3 refers to, and here we have the paragraph. Economic contact between Native Americans and Europeans can be traced back to the English and French fishermen off the coast of Canada in the 1500s. They traded guns and other weapons for beaver fur. I'm going to read until that point. I will explain why later on, trust me. But as I say, the word they are asking you for is highlighted, and this is going to be the case on the exam as well, okay? That's the reason why I also highlighted it with yellow. So the word they in paragraph 3 refers to, right? And here we have to find out what is this word referring to in that context, okay? Where it is right now, because maybe the word they is used again in the passage later. For example, here, if you think about it, it's here, the word, right? They, it's here, but in other context, it doesn't mean the same, of course. In this context, here, right now, this yellow word, what does it mean right now? What is this word referring to right now in this context, right? The one that is in yellow. We have options. It could be English and French fishermen, beavers, Europeans, or traits and characteristics. Recommendations. As your word will be highlighted, dear students, you must read 1 or 2 previous sentences to find the context and the reasoning train idea of the portion. If you notice, I just read, in this case, 2 previous sentences before the word we are being asked about. Why did I do that? Because, dear students, listen to this. When you receive this type of question, that, by the way, you easily identify, because this is basically a vocabulary question, but instead of giving you an adjective or a noun, you're always going to receive these type of reference words. They, it's, theirs, those, that's, she, he, reference words. So whenever you see this, okay, this type of word, and you identify it, don't read the entire paragraph, okay? Even though the question tells you what are the word they means in paragraph 3, don't read the entire paragraph. Just read 2 or 1 previous sentences before the word they are asking you for. Or maybe if you want 1 extra sentence, that is to say, after the word. But apart from that, don't read the entire paragraph, because you're just going to get confused. As I say, they are asking you about what the word they means in that context, and the context is immediate, not mediate, okay? So just read, as I say, the immediate context, one or two previous sentences before this and one after if you want. But apart from that, don't read the entire paragraph in order to help yourself avoiding confusions, okay? Awesome. Now, it says here, you have to find out the reasoning train. And this is everything for this question. Let me explain what is the reasoning train. The reasoning train, in simple words, is basically the last idea the author had on mind when he wrote this word. I'm going to repeat. The reasoning train is the last idea the author had on mind when he wrote this word. Let me give an example. If I say, today I am at home, what is my reasoning train? My reasoning train for that sentence will be my home, right? Today I am at home. But if I continue the sentence and I say, today I am at home, and tomorrow I will go to the park. What is the reasoning train of that sentence now? Park, right? Because it's the last thing I have on mind. Now, I repeat, if I say, today I am at home, my reasoning train is home because it's the last idea I have on mind. But if I continue, tomorrow I will go to the park. What is my reasoning train? In that case, will be park because, as I say, it's the last thing I have on mind. And that is exactly what you have to look for in this case in order to get the correct answer. Look for the reasoning train, okay? The reasoning train. When you find out the reasoning train, okay, the reasoning train, that's everything. Let me show you. For example, in this case, let us read economic contact between native, okay, so I'm going to read into this one. Economic contact between Native Americans and Europeans. Okay, so until that point, what is the reasoning train? Native Americans and Europeans, right? Europeans in a very generic sense. If you notice, he's not specifying what type of Europeans. He's talking about trade between Native Americans. He's not saying what type of Native Americans, nor he's mentioning or clarifying what type of Europeans. He's just mentioning generic Americans and generic Europeans, right? And to that point, that is the reasoning train. Now, let us continue. Can be traced back to the English and French fishermen. Hey, wait a minute. We have another reasoning train. Now, the last thing he has on mind is not Europeans in a generic base. The last thing he has on mind is a specific kind of European. What kind? English and French fishermen. Notice? Before the author mentioned this, his reasoning train was Europeans in a generic way. Europeans, just Europeans. When he continues with the sentence, the last thing he has on mind is French fishermen and English. His reasoning train is not Europeans anymore, it's English and French fishermen. Let's continue. Off the coast of Canada in the 1500. And in that context, we have the word. They traded guns and other weapons, etc. So what does the word they mean? The correct response is the last thing the author had on mind. And what was his reasoning train? What was the last thing he had on mind when he wrote this word? French fishermen and English fishermen. Of course, it's not Canada in this case, right? Because they is plural. It cannot be Canada. And they refers to people, right? It cannot be a country. So yeah. What was the last idea he had on mind? French and English fishermen. And that's how you're always going to find the correct response for this question. Trust me. Finding the last idea the author had on mind before writing that word. That is the reason why I told you, always read merely two previous sentences before the alluded word. That way you're going to find out the correct response easily, okay? In this case, that is the correct answer. It's not Europeans, as I say, because although he mentioned that, it was not his reasoning train. It's the reasoning train here, our correct response. The last thing he had on mind when he wrote this word, okay? That is how you respond to these questions. Any type of doubt about this one, dear students? Hesitations, concerns, please tell me. Or is it clear? Roy, Anaí, Miguel, Sergio, Mariana, Cecilia, Abigail, Fabiana, Adriana, Jorge. Questions, dear students?
It's clear.
Great.
It's clear for me too.
Fantastic. There you are. Well, let us continue then, if there are no more questions. TOEFL reading, inference questions. Okay, so this is the fourth type of question here, students. Let me discuss it with you right now. This is a little bit more difficult. Okay, so please pay attention. The fourth type of question, dear students, is called inference question. Okay, the inference question will be asked to reason, or you will be asked to reason, excuse me, and draw a rational inference that could be made out of a paragraph or a read portion. Don't forget that an inference is simply a conclusion or assertion that could logically follow from a determined action, event, or circumstance. Let me explain very quickly what an inference is in order for you to get this type of question correctly. What is an inference? An inference is, in simple words, a conclusion, a rational conclusion you make out of a given information or data. I repeat, an inference is a rational conclusion you make out of a particular or given information or data. Okay? Now, let me give an example. Let's say that you, I don't know. Let's say that you go and talk to a person, okay? And every single time you see that that person, when you go and say hello to that person, treats you in a very much disrespectful manner. He doesn't read back, for example, or he makes some ugly gestures on his face or something, or he simply rejects to greet you or something, right? Imagine that is the case. And you see that the same person that always treats you like that actually behaves better with other people. For example, maybe that person to your friend, he greets him or he talks to him very well, or he offers him favors, whatever. You see that that person behaves differently and actually in a good manner with other people. What can you infer out of that particular situation and information you have? That the person that, as I say, he doesn't greet you, he treats you disrespectfully, wrongly, but he doesn't do the same with other person. What can you infer out of that? Well, obviously you can infer that for example, that he doesn't like you, or that she doesn't like you, in the sense that, for example, maybe you send to her, I don't know, maybe boring, or maybe, but the point is that there is a reason why he doesn't or she doesn't like you, right? And that is an inference that is valid. It's a valid conclusion. Why? Because you have that information that with you, he behaves wrongly, disrespectfully, but with other people, it seems that she or he behaves very well. What can you infer out of that? Like, well, as I say, that you are not somebody who has a very well or a very good opinion on his or her eyes, right? Now, that is an inference. Why? Because it's a rational conclusion you make out of the information you have. But what wouldn't be an inference, for example? If you say, this person that doesn't treat me well, doesn't greet me, treats other people better, and well, basically disrespects me, he's an alien. And that's the reason why he treats me that manner. It's because he's an alien, I know. And that's the reason why he treats me like that. Is that an inference? Well, certainly not, right? Why? Because I mean, nothing in the attitude of this person, in the way he treats you, suggests that he's an alien or something, right? I mean, you have not seen him, I don't know, speaking weird languages, or I don't know, or having technology or doing weird things. No, he just treats you disrespectfully, right? Us, we know that people, when you are not somebody who has a very good, let's say, status for some people, they treat you like that, right? They don't like you, so they treat you like that sometimes. As I say, it's a matter of thinking, what is a rational conclusion? That is a rational conclusion, right? To say, well, she or he doesn't like me, but to say he's an alien, well, it's just imagination. So as I say, inferences are basically conclusions, rational conclusions you make out of information you have, okay? Let us go to the example. Which of the following can be inferred about Melville's poetry? And here we have the passage. Let us read it together, okay? It says the following. Until the 1850s, Herman Melville primarily published novels including Moby Dick, which would be later one of America's most famous beloved novels. His novels, however, had extremely low sales, and Melville had to quit writing novels because no publisher would agree to print his books. In an effort to make more money from his writing, Melville chose to publish some poetry instead. Poetry was extremely popular and sold well in 19th century America, so Melville expected to make a profit from his first book of poems. These poems, however, were as unpopular as his novels and sold scarcely any copies. There you are. Well, the question says, which of the following answers, right, can be inferred about Melville's poetry? By the way, how can you identify this type of question? Well, as you can see, it contains the word inferred. And this type of question, dear students, always contain the word inference in any of its forms. It can be inferred, inferring, infer, inference, but as I say, any variation of the word inference is going to be present in the question. And when you see that any variation of the word inference is included, then you know that, well, that is a inference question, okay? Now, which one can we infer? Which is the inference here of this information we have? Remember, an inference is a conclusion that we make out of information or data we have, and it must be rational, it must be justified. Don't forget that although you are asked to infer something, this doesn't mean you can separate yourself from the passage and let your imagination to fly. You must infer, yes, but you must do it only with the information provided in the passage. This is tremendously important here, students. Please listen to me. The only information you may use in order to make an inference and respond to this question is the data and the information that you have been receiving in this paragraph. You cannot use any external knowledge you may have about Melville in order to make an inference here. For example, maybe if this is the passage that, let's say that this passage appeared to you on your exam, likely you are somebody who loves Melville. You have read all his novels, you have seen all the documentaries about him, etc. You're a fan of Melville. If that is the case, dear students, don't let the knowledge you have about this subject that is external, that is not mentioned here, to guide your inference. No, your inference must be merely based on the information here presented in the reading passage. If it doesn't say what you know about Melville or any other subject, if it is not contained, if it doesn't say that in the reading passage, you shouldn't use it in order to make an inference. Merely use the information and data here presented in the passages and paragraphs you receive, okay? Now, as I say, how can you respond to this type of question? Well, by identifying the suggestions that this passage or paragraph gives you. Let me give you an example. Let us analyze the first response. It says, it was not as well written as Melville's novels. Could this be the inference of this paragraph? Can we say this is the correct answer, answer A? It was not as well written as Melville's novels? Let me tell you, no, this is not the correct answer. And I'm going to explain you why. The reason is because, dear students, there is not a single sentence, and you're going to agree with me here, I'm sure. There is not a single sentence in this reading passage, in this paragraph, that suggests to us that the quality of Melville's poetry was not as good as in Melville's novels. Not a single sentence, or if there is, tell me which one. What part of this paragraph tells us or suggests? Remember, of course, everything here is about suggestions, right? Because nothing is going to tell you the response specifically in this type of question. No, in inference questions, you have to conclude something, right? It is not specifically written here. You have to conclude it. That is an inference. So there is nothing here that suggests to us that the quality was worse than Melville's novels, for example, right? And given that you cannot offer a justification and say, okay, because of this sentence, I can infer logically and validly that this is true, option A is not the correct answer. Because as I say, there is not a single sentence that justifies such a thing. Now, let me show you, for example, what is the difference with answer C, that is the correct response. It did not yield a significant profit for Melville. Why is this the correct answer and how can we know it? I'm going to tell you, because there are sentences in the reading passage that suggest to us that this is the case and justify our conclusion, our rational conclusion, that it did not yield a significant profit for Melville. What are those sentences? Let me show you. The first thing you have to notice in the paragraph we have here is, it says, his novels had extremely low sales, okay? He didn't sell his novels, first thing. Second thing, Melville chose to publish some poetry instead in effort to make more money from his writing. This is telling us that he didn't receive good money for his novels. And that because he didn't receive good money, he was not well paid because of his novels, he wanted to expand his area of writing to poetry, hoping to get good money from it. Now, and this is the most important part, it says that, sadly, his poems were as unpopular as his novels and sold scarcely any copies. So it tells us that because he didn't sell his novels very well, and that provoked that Melville didn't receive good money for his writing, what can we infer if this is telling us that he also didn't sell his poetry, that nobody wanted to purchase his poetry? What can we infer? That, of course, it didn't give him a significant profit. Because if that happened with his novels, that he didn't sell any copy, and he didn't receive, he was not well paid for it, and he moved on to poetry in order to receive a good money for his writing, but he didn't sell any copy as well, well, what can we infer? That he didn't receive a significant profit for that poetry. That is what we can infer. And why? Because as you can see, we have sentences, as the ones that I have mentioned you, that justifican your inference. And that is what you have to do every single time. You need to look for sentences in the paragraph that justify, that suggest to you that this inference is valid and is the correct one. If you cannot give the justification as I did it right now and say, because of this sentence and this sentence and this sentence, I infer this, don't go for that answer because it's wrong. Every single answer, when it's correct, has a justification because it tells you this, this, and this. We can say that this is the correct answer. But when you don't have that justification, as it happened to us with the option A, for example, it is not the correct answer. You need to have something suggesting you, hey, because of this and this, in the paragraph, I can say this is the inference. And that is exactly what you have to do every single time. Look for sentences, what they suggest you. And if you find that they are suggesting you something, okay, oh, okay, well, because of this and this and this, as my justification, I go for this one. You're not going to fail. Any question, dear students, about this? Any concern, doubt you may have? Tell me, please.
It's clear.
Okay, thank you very much, dear Jorge. What about the rest of you guys? Okay, thank you, Roy. Thank you very much. What about you? Yes? No? Clear? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. There you are. Clear then. Okay, thank you very much, dear Sergio. Very good. Well, let us finalize then with this fifth type of question. It's going to be the last one, by the way. We're not going to have more. Essential information question. In this type of question, dear students, you will be asked to convey the same information than a given portion, but using different words, okay? It's important for you to remember that the correct answer must convey all the information given in the alluded portion, not just some. In simple words, this type of question, dear students, is going to ask you, first of all, to read a sentence, to read a particular sentence, okay? And that sentence is always going to be highlighted. When you read that sentence that I give you that is highlighted, they're going to say, okay, now that you have that sentence, we're going to give you some options. And those options are sentences as well. We're going to give you 5 or 4 sentences. And among those sentences, we have included one that expresses the same information than your highlighted sentence. We want you to look for that sentence and to choose that one. That is basically what they are telling you. They are going to offer you a highlighted sentence, as I say. You have to read that sentence, and afterwards, you have to look at the possible answers. All those possible answers are going to be sentences as well. When you read them, there is one of them that expresses, conveys the same information than your highlighted sentence. That is the correct answer. Basically, what they're asking you to do is to find a substitute, right, for this highlighted sentence, because if it contains the same information, if it expresses the same information, then this highlighted sentence, it could be substituted, right? So what they're asking you to do is to find a substitute, as I say, okay? Very good. Let us see the example. Question, it says, the sentence in paragraph 6, they're going to tell you the sentence, and it's also going to be highlighted, both things. Between industrialization, the reduced population of Native Americans, and the segregation of them into the reservations contributed to the end of Indian trade. Is most similar to, and here you have the possible answers. As you can see, the sentence here, dear students, is highlighted with yellow. And something that I want to remark here very quickly. When you receive this type of question, that is super easily to identify, right? Super easily identifiable, sorry. Because, well, you have the entire sentence right there in the question. You have it here also highlighted. When you receive this type of question, my honest and very much, let's say, emphatic recommendation, it's don't read the paragraph, okay? Merely read the highlighted sentence. Trust me, it's going to be easier to respond the question without reading the entire paragraph and merely reading the highlighted sentence, okay? So when you receive this type of question, don't read the entire paragraph in order to respond. Don't look for details or information there, no. Merely read the highlighted sentence, all right? Well, and here we have the options, let's see. Indian trade came to, we have to read the sentence, right? First of all, let us read the highlighted sentence. The highlighted sentence says, between industrialization, the reduced population of Native Americans, and the segregation of them into the reservations, all of that contributed to the end of Indian trade, right? That is a sentence. Now, we have to look for a substitute for that sentence. Among the options we have here, there is one that conveys all the main points and idea in this highlighted sentence, and we have to find it. Which one could it be? Indian trade came to an end because of segregation, industrialization, and declining populations. The US industrialized their production, segregated from the Native Americans, and entered conflicts that decreased the Native American population. C. Native Americans did not wish to follow industrialization and segregated into the reservation. Or 4. Native Americans wished to follow industrialization and segregated into the reservation. Well, which one expresses the same information? Some recommendations first. Remember that all the options in this question type will probably convey accurate information. Therefore, do not let yourself to be convinced too quickly. The correct answer, dear students, will not omit any information of the portion, nor will it pay too much attention to a single element and misrepresenting the others. This is very important. Why? Because if you notice, all of these options, possible answers, actually mention something of the highlighted sentence, right? They talked about a little bit, all of them talked about a little bit of this highlighted sentence. But nonetheless, there's just one correct response. And that correct response is going to be the one that conveys, as I say, all the main ideas of this highlighted sentence, and that also doesn't omit any of the main points here in the highlighted sentence. Because some answers, if you noticed, talked about something, but they omit other points in the highlighted sentence. And other answers as well here confuse the information. They don't present the information as you receive it here. So as I say, the correct answer must summarize, or, well, not summarize, must include, okay, it must include all the main points of the highlighted sentence without obviating or omitting one of them, and without, as I say, confusing the information, without disconnecting it and making it, I don't know, something completely different to what you received, okay? Great. So let us see which one is the correct one here. Let's go with the first one, for example. Indian trade came to an end because of segregation, industrialization, and declining populations. Is this the correct answer? Yes. Why? Because if you notice, dear students, what is this highlighted sentence telling us? It says, between industrialization, the reduced population of Native Americans, and the segregation of them, it's giving you three reasons, right? That provoke what? Contributed to the end of Indian trade. So it's telling you there are three reasons why Indian trade ended. Industrialization, reduced population of Americans and of Native Americans, excuse me, and segregation. So this answer here, Indian trade came to an end because of segregation, industrialization, and declining population, tells you exactly the same idea than our highlighted sentence. Of course, it doesn't mention everything, because if it were exactly identical, it wouldn't be a very difficult question, right? So as I say, it is not going to use all the questions of the reading of the highlighted sentence. It's okay. It must not use the same words. What it must do is to transmit the same idea with the main points mentioned in the highlighted sentence. If it does convey the same information, the same idea, it's okay. Even if it doesn't use the same words, even if it uses all the words, that is natural. Of course, it's not going to do it. But as I say, if it conveys the same idea using all the main points, that is the correct answer, okay? Now, what about the second answer, for example? The US industrialized their production, segregated from Native Americans, and entered conflicts that decreased the Native American population. It's simply not true, because in this highlighted sentence, as I say, well, we are not listening about any, I don't know, any conflict of the US with the Native Americans. No, I mean, we are not said about that. As I said, that's the reason why you merely have to read this sentence. Don't read the entire passage, because maybe at some point in the passage they discussed that and you believe that that is how you have to respond. But no, the question is asking you about this sentence, not about the entire paragraph. That's the reason why, as I said, please read merely the highlighted sentence in this type of question, okay? Well, so as I mentioned, this is simply presenting the information in a wrong manner. It's not the correct response, because the highlighted sentence doesn't say anything about the US, actually. It says here, Native Americans, third option, did not wish to follow industrialization, and they segregated into the reservation. Also not the correct answer. Why? Because here it doesn't say that they didn't want to follow industrialization. It says that because of industrialization, they basically ended with Indian trade, right? It doesn't say if they were advocates or opponents of industrialization, but the only thing it says is that, well, they, because of industrialization, decided to end Indian trade. That is what they say. That they were opponents of this? No, it doesn't say that. Or if they were advocates? No, it simply says that because of industrialization, Indian trade ended. Okay, so as I say, please look for an answer that conveys the main ideas, and maybe not with the same words, of course, but anyways, if it contains the main points without omitting any of them, it's fine. Any questions, dear students? I'm sorry about this one. Please tell me. Roy, Anaí, Miguel, Jorge, Sergio, Mariana, Cecilia, Abigail, Fabiana, Adriana, any question about this type of question?
A question, teacher.
Okay, thank you very much. What about the rest of you guys? Questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
No questions.
I'm okay.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Fantastic. Well, before we finalize our classes tonight, I have a gift for you. Go to your WhatsApp groups. You're going to find the following. I'm sending right now to your groups practices, okay? I have created a compilation of a lot of websites, YouTube channels that I found offer free material for you to practice this section. And I know that we have not finalized with the theoretical part yet, but if you want to practice now or at some point later, you can use this material that I'm giving you for free, okay? That I recollected for you. So please, here you have it. And please use it whenever you want, okay? It's free, it's just links. you can use it, okay, in order to practice and to get better for this section. All right, well, we're going to take your assistance, so please stay with me a little bit. And please help me with your kind responses for the poll that we always feel, okay? You know that I appreciate it a lot. So please help me with that. And let's go with your assistance. So if you have any question, commentary, please express it. Okay. Where am I? So it's here present, Ramirez Camila. All right. What about Mayra Alejandra? Okay. What about Alondra Lisette? No, okay. Thank you very much for your responses, dear students. Please, could you help me with one more poll? You know that on Wednesdays we have to fill 2, right? So please help me with that, okay? It's the second poll, super short. Please help me with that. I'm so sorry, okay, for the annoyance, but the company. So please help me with that one, okay? Is here present Salguero Fabiana?
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Fabiana. Is here present Quiroga Adriana?
I'm here.
Thank you very much, Adriana. What about Jose Miguel Quiroga?
I'm here.
Thank you very much, Jose Miguel. What about Anaí Estefanía?
I'm here.
Thank you very much, dear Anaí. What about Jorge Alberto?
Here.
Thank you very much, Jorge. And let's go with this new group as well, our dear classmates, Abigail Graciela.
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Abigail. What about Roy Brian David?
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Roy. What about Araceli Patiño? Okay, Araceli is not here. What about Oscar Samuel? All right. Mariana Vaca?
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Mariana. And finally, Maria Cecilia.
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Cecilia. There you are. Well, awesome. Thank you very much, dear students, for your presence. It was a pleasure to be with you. Tomorrow we're going to continue, all right? So see you tomorrow and have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye, Carlos. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you.